There you go.
Hello, I'm Roxy and welcome to my kitchen. Today we are making banana bread. It's comforting, it's easy, it's delicious, and this is a recipe that Claire Saffitz, the dessert person, has shared, and I was really excited to be making it with you today too, because on Thursdays I love to make my dessert and breakfast for the weekend, and no exception this week. The almond butter on this is really unique. It's an almond butter swirl banana bread. Claire describes this as easy, quick, delicious, comforting, freezable, and shareable. I wouldn't necessarily say this is easy because I didn't have everything readily available in my kitchen, but we'll talk more about that as we continue forward in the video. It's not too sweet, it's a little savory, it's pretty unique bread, and Claire says you could have this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because it's not too sweet. Moving on to ingredients and equipment. No special equipment is really needed for this. That's really nice. So we're not going to be working with a stand mixer. We're going to be using a whisk, a couple of bowls, standard loaf pan, which I'll talk more about in a second, and parchment paper. This is a quick bread, so we use leaveners like baking soda, baking powder, eggs to get that rise in the bread. It's not a yeast-based bread. So that's pretty cool. And let's preheat the oven to 350 degrees and then get to lining the pan. So this is an 8.5 by 4.5 inch loaf pan. I just got this in a couple of weeks ago. I'm so excited. I've used it a bunch already and I love it. It gives really great results. I love the nice sharp corners of this. And I'm going to show you how I line it. So Claire only lines this side of the pan, but I like to line both sides because I like a really clean, easy to remove loaf. So here is an example of how you remove the loaf. And I got my clips. If you've been here before, I love using these for sheet cakes, brownies, loaf pans. They just make baking so much easier. So here's the first piece. And then I have the, what is this, the hamburger side? Or the hot dog side? Well, this way. So I cut this piece of paper, I line it inside, and then I got my 2 pink clips. Look at this, it has a smiley face on it, so cute, right? Anyways, I think baking is all about the happiness, so anything that I can to make it an even happier experience, I do that. Like my sprinkle spatula that I have here. So this is lined now, and the oven is started to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and let's get into the swirl part of it. Claire makes this first, so I'm gonna make this first too. So I have a little ramekin. I have 3 tablespoons of almond butter. It's nice to try and find an almond butter that doesn't have sugar in it because there's already sugar from the sugar itself and the banana bread. So let's get this on here.
Can you do peanut butter?
You can absolutely do peanut butter. That's such a great question. Yeah, I think it's just a preference, but I did peanut butter last week and it was just like a different option. I think it's still savory, has a nice flavor. I think sunflower butter would be a really good option too. My brother really loves that one, and so we always have it around, always making PB&Js, sunflower PB&Js, so very readily available as well. Here is my tablespoon of sugar. This gives it a nice crunch and crispness to it. I actually tried it with, when I was making the peanut butter swirl banana loaf bread. Wow, that's a mouthful. I used coconut sugar for the topping piece. So adding the sugar and then a teaspoon of melted coconut oil. I know. So I melted this in advance. It's getting a little less melty, but it's still liquefied. Oh.
What does that do?
This just helps it all incorporate together, but I just add it gradually because there's already, you know, when you get peanut butter, like a natural peanut butter or natural almond butter, there's that oil on the top. So I just am going to add a little bit at a time until I get a smooth consistency, a completely smooth consistency. But we're gonna make this now and then top the loaf with it. It smells really good. So this is what it's looking like so far. Doing my ducking here. Hey, Mexico City! Thank you everyone for joining.
Do you want to zoom in?
Sure. Just so folks can get a closer look on it. But it looks a little bit granulated, but that's okay. It cooks out and becomes a little bit crispy later. I'm going to just add like another teaspoon of this to get it a little bit more smooth. So I'm using.
This is good to eat.
Yeah, I would just, I wouldn't put it past me to lick the bowl later. I think it's really tasty. Awesome, so I have the swirl. I'm gonna put it aside for now. And then I'm gonna clean as I go. I have a bowl here this week. The other week I made a huge mess. Now I'm going to, so I did bring a special piece of equipment because I wanted to save us time when we were doing this project together. I appreciate you all being here and I want to be mindful of the time we spend together. So instead of spending 5 minutes mashing, we're going to take like 10 seconds to blend this together. If you make smoothies in the morning and you have a blender, which my partner got me one for Christmas, and I love using it any chance I get. This is supposed to be a 2 banana recipe, but 1 cup. So 2 large bananas is about a cup, but these bananas are a little on the medium side. So I'm gonna blend 3 bananas this time. But I feel like a lot of folks look for like a 2 banana recipe. So if that's the case, this is a pretty good bet for that. And if I don't finish, or wow, it doesn't all fit in here.
2.5.
2.5. I like it. So it definitely helps to have overripe bananas for this recipe. It adds sweetness to the loaf, the banana bread.
Cover yours.
Oh yeah, I'll just kind of back away so the mic's not too close, but looks mashed to me. Nice. Look at that. It gets a little tight open. So if you don't have ripe bananas, then take the amount of bananas that you want and line a baking tray with a piece of parchment. Bake your bananas for with the peel on, 350 degrees for 10 minutes. The banana gets totally black, but it just quickly ripens and makes the banana sweeter, so you have something to work with. So that's my first tip. And then if this is a little lumpy, Claire says it's cool. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Lumpy.
That's a giant lump. So let's just save that in there, and I'll put that back in a second. Hold on.
Scoop that sucker out.
Yeah, I'm gonna problem solve here. Put that one back in. We'll get that a little more blended. That was hilarious. But I have another banana bread on my channel, and that's more of a cinnamon streusel type of banana bread, which we love here, but I'm always excited to try new baked goods. So get that in the bottom. Okay, backing up again.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it looks good. Maybe a little over a cup, but it's about so. Awesome. So in this next part, we're going to the dry ingredients. Just set this aside. But basically we want to incorporate our dry ingredients. There's 5 dry ingredients: flour, the leaveners, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and cinnamon. And
Check your notes.
yeah, I gotta check my notes. I forgot to grab my eggs. Oops. Yeah, could you grab me 2 eggs? That would be super awesome. Yeah, and it actually, yes, it actually says 2 eggs straight out of the fridge, so cold eggs.
There you go.
Yep. So we're all good there. See, 2 eggs cold from the refrigerator, so we're all good. Let me get another bowl. See, we're flexible here. So I'm gonna do my, thank you. Thank you. Perfect. So let's go on with the dry ingredients. You want 1 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. If you're going to use a gluten-free flour, use 1 cup because it's usually rice-based, and it absorbs way more moisture, so you just want a little bit less of it. Use one with a xanthan gum in it, so you get proper rise. I'm just sifting this now. I pre-measured everything but didn't sift everything yet. Then I have my baking powder, 1 teaspoon. Baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon. How's everyone doing? I have 1 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. And then Claire mentioned to use cardamom. So yes, we have cardamom. It's mega old because we don't use it a lot. It was part of a seasoning set that we got a while back. And I did use it for a coffee cake a few weeks back, and it just has such a distinct taste. It makes it the hero of the recipe. So I'm gonna use cinnamon. I prefer cinnamon. She mentioned cinnamon's a good substitute. So she uses 1/4 teaspoon of ground, what's the name of that thing again? Cardamom. So
What is cardamom?
I don't know. It's a seasoning. It's like, I feel like
Is it sweet?
no, it's kind of savory. It's very exotic tasting. And I feel like for me, growing up Asian, cinnamon's already pretty exotic. We never really had cinnamon in anything. I remember Pepperidge Farm cinnamon swirl bread, but that was a little bit older. I feel like maybe like late middle school, high school, but even then I always thought about it as a raisin bread. So great question. So we got everything in here, omitted the cardamom, using cinnamon. because it more enhances the flavor rather than being the hero. And it's all mixed. Cool. Now we're going to add one element at a time, starting with the bananas. So I'm back to the bananas. She mentions it just really helps to emulsify and get really the texture and incorporation that you need for this. And I followed the recipe exactly last time. And it was great. So we'll do it again. Cold eggs straight out of the fridge. Thank you for helping me get those. Oh, there it is. Whisking. I meant to use a clear bowl for this so there'd be more zoom in opportunities, but fail. That's okay. You do what you can. You like rush after a work day to get going. Here's egg number 2. These are 2 large eggs. 2/3 of a cup of sugar. Again, incorporating one thing at a time. Then I have my 1/3 a cup of almond butter. So she uses almond butter for the topping of the recipe as well as in the mixture itself. Again, if you don't have almond butter or you're allergic, sunflower butter is a great alternative. We just did peanut butter. Yum. Then I'm going to do 1/2 cup of, well, let me mix this first. So this is probably the most stubborn part of the recipe, getting the almond all incorporated. You just want to make sure it's smooth between each stage. Like this is kind of chunky still. I'm going to keep going. This recipe, if you want a big batch, would be so easy to double. Okay, this is completely smooth now. And so I'm going to add the 1/2 cup of virgin coconut oil. Babe, this was like refined oil, right? Virgin?
No,
the unrefined. It's the unrefined oil. Oh no, it's starting to cool down. I have the packaging right here. I'll show you. So there's a teaspoon that's still in here. This is like, it's still liquefied.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Warm
just,
up in the oven.
oh, for sure. Here we go, 1/2 cup. Yep.
Why do you think she used that instead of like butter or oil?
I think that it helps it rise, and it definitely helps it stay more, at least from my experience, coconut oil helps with moisture. And we have another ingredient that helps with this. This is the organic virgin coconut oil, unrefined, that we used for this recipe. That I just microwaved it for 15 seconds, more than that, and it was it starts to sizzle. So this is looking really smooth. I don't know. I feel like if I go too far, you can't see it, but I just, you know what, it reminds me of a peanut sauce that you put on top of a Thai peanut salad, right? But it smells like bananas. It doesn't smell super peanut buttery. Awesome. So then Claire uses a Greek yogurt. I have that today. A whole milk Greek yogurt. Oh, here. So just getting that. This is at room temperature. It's funny because Claire is one of the few people where I see recipes that says like eggs cold out of the fridge, coffee cold, you know. Most people say to incorporate everything at room temperature, but she does a ton of testing. And, you know, if you didn't see my chocolate chip cookie recipe, that was a mega, mega success. And that was her recipe. So yogurt and then vanilla. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Oh, if you want to swap or use substitutes, sour cream is perfect in place of Greek yogurt. As long as it's really thick. I noticed that not all Greek yogurts are the same. Not all sour creams are the same. Like Faye has a really great sour cream. Daisy sour cream is really good. And just checking my notes here. I want to make sure that I'm including everything. And yeah, now we're just gonna incorporate this into the flour. I have a lot of coconut oil all over the place. Very oily fingers. Yes. And all of the dry ingredients were sifted together in here, so that's perfect. And if it's a little lumpy, it's okay. This recipe is that way, and it's super thick too. I just have a little left in here. I want to make sure I get all of it, so it's a very accurate recipe. Yeah, I think it looks delicious. I can't wait to show you the finished product. I can definitely feel that the oven is at 350 degrees down here right now. Man, how much would Polar love licking this bowl when it's all complete? She's a banana fiend. Okay, so here is my finished batter. And I'm gonna get my loaf pan. I'll hold it this way. Can you still see it in screen? Sweet. Just clear the way a little bit here, and then I'm gonna go for it. Perfect day to wear white. I'm just gonna put half of it in. And then bang it a little. I just wanna fill in all the cracks and corners so we have a really, really sharp edged banana bread. Yes. Oh, there's like a little dry spot. That's okay. I caught it. So it's funny because the peanut butter version, you really smell the peanut butter. With this, I barely get the scent of the almond in it. And this is really good served up with like butter and toasted. Oh, oh no. I usually get away with being pretty clean when I'm baking, but I'm gonna take the clips off now. They can go into the oven. I do that all the time with my sheet cakes, but like now that this is already all filled in, I feel like it's okay, always okay at this point to remove this. Because I basically just don't want anything to fall down the sides. And then let me get a skewer really quickly. This part's so fun. So we're gonna make swirls on top. And I have this topping that we made in the beginning. It makes it a little nice and crispy. What's wrong?
No, I think that was awesome.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we made it so
Seriously,
like,
I was ready to put it in the oven right now.
yeah, we made it like 20 minutes ago. So Claire just does like little dots all over the place and then does the swirls. For me, I think it's really cool to do 3 big blobs because I really want to see the definition in the swirls. Like bigger marbling, and I'll show you. And of course you can go over to her page and see how hers is done. But I really, really want to be able to see the swirls. So this barely seems like 3 tablespoons. Because when I first saw it, I thought, oh, 3 tablespoons is going to be a lot to go on top. And then when I'm dispersing it, it kind of gets a little incorporated in. I don't know if you want to zoom in on this part.
Okay.
I think maybe it would be helpful. So I'm gonna I probably should have taken the clips off last so that I could put this on the side. But so you can see the 3 different blobs right here. And then I'm just gonna take this skewer and I'm going to swirl it across. I did it a couple of times last time, but I did like 1 giant swirl here and then another swirl here. So you can really see it. See the really big swirls. Om nom nom. Oh, that's not as pretty. It's kind of hard to go wrong with this. Any questions so far?
When's it gonna be done?
No questions. Well, now we're gonna put this in the oven and put on the timer for 55 minutes, but not to worry, I have one to show you. But let me just, oh no, it's still zoomed in. So, well, you can see me, my timer. So put your timer on for 50 minutes. Check about then. Every oven is really different. So here we are. Actually, I will just hold it on its side like this so you can see what it looks like. I already took a couple of slices off in the front, but when it's done, let it cool for 15 minutes. Before enjoying it or packing it away. What I did was I started touching it and then the butter started coming off and it didn't get to crystallize. And so my advice, I know it's really hard, but wait 15 minutes to just let it cool. But this is the finished cake. So the description, this is a pretty rustic bake. You know, if you look at it right away, you might think, oh, there's chocolate on top, but it's not. That's just the banana bread baking through. The lighter piece is the peanut butter or almond butter. The inside is moist, the outside is like kind of more the burst of flavor, but not the most moist banana bread ever. And it's really easy to unmold because we like put that liner in it, but yeah, that's it. I mean, I can cut it so you guys can see it, but as I'm doing that, come back every Thursday to bake more with me. Should I do it like this? Because I love to bake every single week, but see, like plop this in the oven, you know, if you need an afternoon snack. in the oven for a couple minutes, put some butter on it, some dairy-free butter, some regular butter, and I don't know, I think that's like the best way to serve it. I would say 7.5 out of 10 on this. Personally, I love a streusel banana bread. Everybody has different preferences, and some people might say this is like a 10 out of 10. So I love the variety. You want to mix it up a little bit. Don't get too burnt out on what you usually have. So try this. You might love it, and I really appreciate that Claire put this recipe out. Next week, I was planning potato chip Rice Krispie squares, and then the week after, a coffee cake with actual coffee in it. So you know, in the US, we don't really put coffee in our coffee cake. It's usually served with coffee. So I'm really excited to share that. Right. So thank you so much for joining me. Gonna let that bake. Check it at 50 minutes. Probably will take about 55 minutes to bake. The skewer comes out mostly clean, and I'll be back next Thursday. And on Saturdays, I post my other bakes. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend, rest of your week and weekend. Bye.